Hello and welcome to our Modern Latin American History class. My name is Brandon Morgan and I am the instructor for our course this semester. I wanted to take you on a tour of our class here in Brightspace because I know that many of us, if not most of us, are brand new to Brightspace this semester. I've taught in it once. I taught an intercession section of New Mexico history in Brightspace, so I've gotten to know it a little bit, but I still am learning and trying to get better. So um, please let me know if you find any dated references to Blackboard or CNM Learn in our course. If anything doesn't seem to connect or you get lost or things don't make sense, let me know. Some of it might have to do with the way that I've set things up and I can fix that. Um, or I can just help you with navigation as we all get used to this new platform that we're using at CNM. Overall, I quite like it. One thing that is a little bit more difficult for me than it had been with Blackboard is the gradebook. So if things are confusing in there, let me know. Do give me a few days though, because I know that right now things are a little bit jumbled. I need to do some work on cleaning it up, but I'll get it done within the first couple weeks of the course, at the very latest. So beyond that, if the gradebook is confusing to you, let me know, and I'll see what I can do to work that out. Um, More than anything though, I just want to show you how to get around in our course. So this is the landing page. When you click into our class on Brightspace, you go to mycourses.cnm.edu to get there, and you log in with your myCNM credentials. You can get there also from the cnm.edu homepage. When you get here, what you'll do is you click the coursework and then the content buttons. Before I show you that though, I want to show you what's on this front page. So here's my little instructor profile. I will post announcements on a regular basis. That's where this video will be for you. The content browser has a kind of quick access to the unit learning modules, so you can get to them quickly. Do note that the only ones you have access to right now are units 1 and 2. You also have access to the Twitter and timeline tutorials. Those will show you how to use Twitter and Tiki-Taki for our class. That's the timeline platform. And then this is for the final project and extra credit. Generally, I will have everything open for you. I don't have things set so that you have to get through a module before the next one will open. But right now I'm still doing a little bit more work on units 3, 4, 5, and 6 before I'll open them up to you. Just a few things that I didn't quite get sorted out before the first day of class, but they'll be done soon. So that's why this looks like it does. Once that happens, they'll all appear here. If you don't want this to be shown, you can hit collapse this widget and it'll be gone. So you'll just see the announcements and then this activity feed. The activity feed is a little bit like a social media feed here in our course. It's only accessible by those of us who are in the course. I will post not announcements here, but kind of supplemental helpful materials. During the intercession, for example, I found a video that explained how to respond to a discussion thread. You think you wouldn't need a video like that, but it wasn't as clear as I thought it would be on Brightspace. So I may add that one here. Also references to kind of news stories and things like that that have to do with the class, I'll post here. It's a space where you'll be able to post some things as well, so just recognize what that's for. As I mentioned though, most of our course lives in this coursework section. So you click on coursework, you click content, and that will take you to the place that you need to be to find everything for the course. Right now it opened at overview and syllabus. That's where the blue box directed you to go on that homepage. Do recognize though that this takes you to wherever you last left off. So for example, if I had been in unit 2, it would have opened at unit 2. Just in case something like that happens, know to go up here on this menu and click overview and syllabus. So this content section over here is pretty helpful. As you scroll down, you'll notice here's a intro to our course. You'll click here to access the syllabus. It's a Google Doc, so you can download it, you can print it. You can click here to get to our course hashtag feed on Twitter. I will post this video here as well, so that that'll be a kind of central location for it. I'll also, I don't have it here yet, but I will post a link here to my Zoom meeting room. That's where you'll go for office hours. My office hours are Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10. If that doesn't work for you, let me know and we'll schedule a different time. No problem. I try to be as available as I can be, responsive to emails, text messages. My number is in the syllabus. You can also contact me via Twitter. Once you've read through the syllabus, this overview, and again, remember the syllabus will open up in a new tab, you can click here on Unit 1, and you'll notice that this unit runs for 2 weeks. There's a photo, an image, and the guiding question for the unit. Each of our units has a guiding question that will help you to complete all of the various assignments that we'll be doing. I'll say a little bit more about that when I show you Unit 2. I'm going to show you in more detail than sometimes I do, just because Brightspace is new. But to get into the unit, this is kind of showing you an overview, a list of what there is inside of this thing. Click on Unit Intro and Objectives. And then you'll see this image, as well as a list of what we're doing during Unit 1. So by the first Sunday of this unit, remember I said it's 2 weeks, so by the 17th, you'll need to look over the syllabus, do your introduction on the discussion board, and then do some work on Twitter that's described here in this module. By Sunday the 24th, you'll need to complete the second half of the module, which includes responding to the introduction in our course textbook. I have a link to a digital kind of prior edition if you don't yet have your physical textbook. And you'll post a personal entry on the timeline so that you'll get acquainted with Tiki-Taki, which is the platform we're using for the class timeline. That's an assignment you'll be doing every unit. The objectives here are listed. To go to the next page, you will click the arrow. This has a guiding question and an intro video. Please note, you can see this one's a little old. It was from summer 2020. I do like the way that I talked about the significance of the question that we're working on about history and historical thinking. So even though the video is a little dated, I've left it here. These videos may contain references to Blackboard or C&M Learn, so just disregard that. But know that what they're saying about the actual work that we're doing during the unit is still relevant and still valid. This is the link to the discussion board. So you'll go here. I'll have to fix the word Blackboard right there since I just noticed it. But you'll click Start a New Thread. That's where you'll do your introduction to the rest of us. Next, you'll read through the information here. There's a video embedded, a couple of links you'll go to read, to think about what is history and how do we study the past. You'll post your answers to some of these questions here on Twitter. There's a tutorial for that, so you'll know exactly what you need to be doing. If you're hesitant to use Twitter, don't worry about reaching out to me. Let me know what questions or concerns you have. It's a great place for us to kind of take notes on our first pass through the readings and talk to each other, make connections there about the content, and also learn how to write concisely. That's one of the big advantages of Twitter. Disadvantages include references to difficult current events and the problems that you're well aware of with social media. I do understand if you have reasons not to be on Twitter, just let me know and I can give you an alternate assignment if that is the case. But again, this is what you'll do for the Twitter part of Unit 1. Those were all the things that were due by the 17th, by that first Sunday. This defining Latin America discussion is due during that second week by the 24th, so you'll want to work on it then, or at least you can work on it then. You can always work ahead, so don't worry about that. This is the discussion thread for the defining Latin America section. So what was here on the previous page explains what you need to read, the questions you need to think about. Then to actually create your post, you go over here and go to the discussion board. So this takes you straight there. All right, then you will place yourself on the class timeline. So you'll read through all the information here that explains how to get there, what to do, and the next page is where you will submit your document. So for our work on the timeline, you'll write the information that you're going to post there on Tiki in a Word document or a Google Doc or whatever word processor you use. You'll upload those here using the upload feature, and you'll also copy and paste it to the timeline. The reason for doing both is just to make sure that none of your work gets lost, and the reason to put it up on the timeline is so that everyone can interact with it and see what you've done and respond to it. Each unit has this self-assessment and looking ahead section at the very end. So this will give you a list of what you need to have done to have completed the work for the unit. Remember, this is 2 weeks worth of work. And then it tells you what's coming next. Because we didn't do the kind of typical type of timeline assignment, this is a link to the instructions for what we'll be doing in units 2 through 6 for the timeline. Also, it has a link to the final project. This will take you to the final project module that I'll show you here in a minute in Brightspace, so that you can just start thinking, planning ahead for what you're going to do for that final project, recognizing it's not actually due till the very end of the course. This will, when you click the arrow, it will take you to the next unit once you've finished the one you're working on. And it's a similar format to what I just showed you. Units 2 through 6, though, have the same kind of exact organization, whereas Unit 1 is a little bit different. So that's why I'm going to show you Unit 2. You'll notice here this progress bar says I've done 7 of 10 topics. What that actually means is that I've scrolled through them, I've looked at them. Note that until you've actually submitted your assignments, whether that's on Twitter or whether that's on the timeline, you're not actually done. This might be a little bit misleading, is all I'm trying to say. So just be aware of that. As with Unit 1, you just click on the first thing in the list, the intro and objectives, to get into the unit learning module. Units 2 through 6 all have this introduction to the historical events, figures, and issues we'll be studying. And then it'll have a list of what you need to do by the first Sunday of the unit. So that's you do all the readings, you do your work on Twitter, you pick a topic for the ID step. So that's your post to the timeline. During the second week, you'll complete that timeline post. And then by the second Sunday, so the last day of the unit, you will have made your connection to someone else's timeline post and completed your journal. Again, there's going to be explanations for how to do all those things as you go along in these modules. That's just the kind of broad overview of what you're going to be doing. As always, the next section is a video where I talk about the unit's guiding question. So for all of your work on Twitter and the timeline, you're going to want to address this question. For Unit 2, it's how did colonial era institutions and issues shape the process of Latin American independence? So again, I give you a little bit more background on kind of why that question is important, how to think about approaching it in this video. The next section in Unit 2, this is only in Unit 2, but it gives you some reading strategies. So history classes have a lot of reading to do. I don't expect that you will read word for word everything that's assigned. Instead, you'll skim and you'll try to figure out what the main ideas are. And so there's some resources here to help you through that. And this video, I walk you through some of those kinds of processes so that you can figure out what's the best way for me to approach the reading in this class. If you have questions about that, or you're still not sure what to do with the reading load, let me know and I'll be happy to help out. Moving on to the next section, every unit 2 through 6 will have this readings list. So again, it lists the guiding question once again in many places, so you'll not forget what it is. Every unit contains readings in the Wood and Alexander book. That's the Problems in Modern Latin America book. And in Chasteen, that one's called Born in Blood and Fire, so they're listed by author's last name. Those are the textbooks that you needed to buy for the class. I have a podcast listed that supplements what we're reading, just to give you another way of thinking about it. Many of these, such as the Throughline podcast, also make connections to the present, so they're kind of a more relevant way also of thinking about the history that we're learning. Excuse me, each of these has optional readings, so those are precisely that, they're optional. If you get a chance to look at them, that's awesome. If not, they're not required. The questions here in the reading slide, there's no assignment connected to those, but they're just there to help you think about what kinds of things you should have in mind as you do the reading that will help you answer the guiding question and complete the assignments. Each of these units contains a section of film clips. As I've noted here at the beginning, there's more here than you could possibly do. I don't expect that you'll watch all of these videos, but they're here as a supplement to the reading so that it gives a different perspective on the history that we're learning. We'll talk about why that's so important. And also, if there's something that wasn't really clear through the readings, these should hopefully help to clarify those points. Next is a slide or a section that reminds you to do your reading tweets. So you click here to get the assignment guidelines. You go to Twitter and use the course hashtag, which is #H1180, to post your work there. Again, if you have questions, let me know. The next thing you'll see is the ID step for the unit. So what this does is it explains what we're doing. It gives you a link to the timeline assignment instructions. It gives you a link to video tutorials. It also gives you a link to the timeline itself. So this will take you to Tiki-Taki to do your work. Here's some more kind of condensed instructions in case you've already read this and you just need the quick version. That's what's here. And then there's an example for what to do, especially the first time around. You'll upload your file here and you will copy and paste the information that you've written in that file to the timeline in Tiki-Taki. So that's for the ID step. That's always due on the second Wednesday of the unit, of each 2-week unit. The next thing is the connection step. So here's where you connect to someone else's post on the timeline. As I've noted here though, sometimes there's not a post on the timeline that really connects well to the topic that you've chosen. If that's the case, just write a paragraph that connects to a different topic that you read about, that we studied, but that wasn't posted to the timeline. That doesn't mean that you need to write an ID step for that new topic, but you just write a connection to it. That'll make more sense as you go along. Again, you also upload here and click to go forward. To round out every unit, you do a journal assignment. You have a link to the journal assignment guidelines there. And so that'll explain the different things that you need to write about in your journal. These are generally reflective. This is where you'll write your kind of overall response to the unit's guiding question. Talk about some of the main things that really stuck out to you during our study of whichever topic we're focused on in the unit, and just kind of round things out. So again, this is the reflection on what did we learn and where did we get to through the study that we did in this unit. All right. Next, you will see the self-assessment and looking ahead as promised. So you'll look through this, make sure you've completed everything you needed to have done during that 2 weeks. You'll be thinking about the final project, so this will remind you of that. And then you click to move ahead. Usually this would go to Unit 3, but as I mentioned, that's not available yet. It takes you to the Twitter and timeline tutorials section. So there are these submodules that give you the assignment guidelines as well as tutorial videos. Same thing for the timeline. So you can jump straight ahead to the next submodule for the timeline. You'll get a link to the timeline, link to the instructions and the tutorials for various aspects of what you're doing there. I didn't note it here, but I should. These timeline tutorials are going to have some references to Blackboard. They'll even show you like where to post things in Blackboard. Don't worry about that. What's important about these right now is that they'll show you what to do on Tiki-Taki. I'm going to do my best to remake these as soon as I can, but I did want to have something here for you in the meantime. So that's what's going on with that. I showed you there was that link to the final project section. That's this last module. So you go here, and this contains the instructions and the submission areas for the different options that you have for the final project. So you can either do an assignment based on I, Rigoberta Menchú, one of the books that are assigned for this course, or a review of the film, Even the Rain, También la lluvia. So that's all contained there. We will have some extra credit possibilities here and there this semester. There's one that's already in place, but there will be some talks and things. There's a Latin American Studies speakers series that will be happening this spring. I'll give you more information as I have it. I know it's happening, but the details aren't set in stone yet. So I'll have that as soon as possible, and other opportunities as they come along. Okay, so that's how you navigate the course. I'm gonna go just back to overview and syllabus. Please let me know if you have questions. As I've noted in the syllabus and other places, I do practice kindness. I'm here to help. I think that the most important thing is for us to be able to engage with Latin America's past, get to know it better as a region, its cultures, its peoples. And so if you miss a deadline along the way, don't sweat it, let me know. I do accept late work. I don't have late penalties, and I'm here to help. So I'm looking forward to this semester, and I hope that you're having a good first week of classes.